What's up, guys? Welcome back. So we are done with the project. Now we are just linting this. So this is an unnecessary video to watch, but if you want to, I'm just going to come over here to the console and you can see how I get rid of all these red lines and all these problems that eslint thinks it has. So we're just going to do npm run lint fix, and I'm just going to close Visual Studio Code and then I'll reopen it after this linted because it's going to change a bunch of files. Okay, just reopen that, move it over here. Alright, so you'll notice we have 184 problems. That is a ton. So a lot of them have to do with the prop types. So I'm just going to start. Oh, we couldn't find. Please ensure that npm is installed. Could not install typings for JavaScript language feature. Okay, this is something I'll have to deal with later. So yeah, I'm just going to go file through file and fix the problems. Okay, so first one is here. Line exceeds, and we are missing prop types. So here is what's going on with those prop types that it keeps telling me about. So I actually need to install something. Now we need to install this prop types library. And what that does is we can then set the prop types we're basically saying our component uses these props and we expect those props to be there. So that's what we're doing. And so we can install this guy and get to that. Oops, I didn't copy. There we go. So yarn add, oops, prop types. So then here I can do import prop types from prop types. And then actually, can I do prop types for a pure function? Let's see. So I've only ever seen prop types for actually a class like this. See how they do it there? I'm actually not sure if you can do prop types for a pure function. So prop types pure function React. Let's see what Stack Overflow says. Okay, so I just give it a name and then I do prop types like usual. Cool. So const navbar export default navbar, and here I'll do navbar dot prop types, and we are expecting a user, which is going to be prop types dot string. So basically we're just saying the type of the prop that we're expecting and then whether it's required or not. Basically all these things we're getting from history we expect to be passed to navbar. Yeah, we do from the props. So that one is required, but then user and requests we're getting from Redux, which we don't require. So here we'll do user request logout is a function, so prop types dot func, and then history is a prop type dot object or dot is an object with the shape. So history is an object, and we expect what we're going to be using in this object is the push function. So we can say we expect a push attribute and prop types dot func there. All right, and that gets rid of that complaining. And then, oops, let's just move this down to another line. I'm not in love with the way that this is styled, but it does not look horrible. I think actually I want the question mark here and a colon here. Makes more sense to me. Okay. Alright, so now we have no eslint problems on this component. So now I can go to auth. Alright. App, we don't need. Now we can import prop types from prop types. And that'll be for the authenticated component. So I guess I can just put it here. Seems fine. So authenticated component dot prop types, and it's lowercase. Yep. Oops. I think it is. Yep, like this. Dot prop types. And what are the props we're expecting? Also, oops, I totally lied about navbar. I don't know why I did that. This is not, user is not a string, it is a function. It's an object. And I think it's going to complain because object of type forbidden. Yeah, it wants us to give the shape. Oh, and also, basically this component will not work without history. So what we can do is we do is required. Whereas these are not required because we're not actually passing them when we create the component that's coming from Redux. But anyway, our user here, and I actually don't know what the user has. So if this renders, cool it does, I can actually see what all the things we expect a user to have. Oh, I do not see the user here. Even though he's right here. Let's go to this page. Oh, I'm getting in the navbar. Should go to the navbar then. So router, container, UI, this route, navbar, user. Oh, just ID and email. Okay. ID, which is a prop type dot string, and of, what was the other one? Email. Prop type dot string. Okay, now we can actually copy that, and we can use that for auth. Prop type is not required, but has no default prop declaration. So we also need to do default values if we're getting them from Redux, even though Redux provides default values, and I forget what the name they use for it. Default props. Default props. And then here you just say user, it's an empty object, and it stops complaining. We're getting request auth, which is of prop type dot func, and then we're expecting a location and a path name. So location, which is prop type shape, so we're expecting an object, and it has a path name, which is a prop type dot string, and this is required, and location, I guess, is location required? How are we getting, actually how are we getting the location here? We're rendering Oh, we're passing it as a prop. We're passing location as a prop. So this is required. So we can only require it if we're passing it as a prop. If Redux is giving us a prop, we have to set defaults. Request auth. The default will be something that returns an empty object. Sure. Okay, so, and then just history again. And we can copy our same definition of history here for auth. Cool, so I got rid of most of the problems in this file, and we just have a bad indentation here. Nice. So we can pretty much copy this, because that's get user is going to be very similar. So get user. Oh no, actually this is authenticated component. So there actually is no user prop that I have to worry about. And then no app here. Import prop types from prop types. Defined but is never used. History. Oh, we're not using history either. It's literally just request. And then here, we want to wrap in that, I believe. Oh, get rid of it because we're not using it. Cool. Get user is good now. Recipe card. So import. I mean, most of the problem here is prop types. So I think we're just going to be adding a bunch of prop types. So recipe card dot prop types. And this one is easy because they're pretty much all strings. Prop types dot string. Name prop types dot string. Image URL prop types dot string. And then again, same thing. Description prop types dot string. And oh, these are required too. Everything is required. Except for prop types, because notice how we're getting this from something else. We're not requiring the history prop type. Dot shape push prop type dot func dot is required is required is required. Default prop, and we need a default prop for it, which is kind of silly. Default props and history is equal to a function. Oh no, is an empty object. That's fine. Okay, recipe list. We're not using I, so we shouldn't pass it. And then prop types. So import prop types from prop types. Prop types. This will be const recipe list. We need to convert that to a function and export default recipe list. And then the only thing is recipes here, which I believe is an array. Okay, so this is kind of funny. So we're gonna do recipes. This is a prop type dot array. So, but notice how, and this is is required. Notice how it doesn't like it, right? And well, let's see what this is a problem. Absolutely. Oh. So notice how it doesn't like it here, and the reason is just as it's forbidden. It doesn't like using it like this. What it wants us to do instead is array of, and then we put the type. Well, what's the type of our recipe? Well, it's an object. So we do prop type dot shape, and then here we basically just do our whole definition of card again. So we copy those like that. And now we're good. Alright, so those are all done. Now let's go to actions. Actions good. API wants us to remove console logs. Since everything's working, we can remove them. Reducers, good. Recipe ID, unexpected underscore. So for this one, that's just like what it's called. So we just want to disable the next line. I believe it's eslint disable. No, I think it's disable next line or something. Let me look up how you eslint disable next line. Because we basically just want to ignore that eslint because we don't need it. Line. Oops. Line. Eslint disable line. Eslint disable next line. Eslint disable next line. Okay, because we're happy with that. Alright, cool. Again, let's close some of these tabs. We have reducers, that's good. Users, good. Close you. Get rid of these consoles. Save. Reducers. Okay. Here, because I might want to expand this at some time and add more than just a user. I'm just going to disable. Yes, lint disable next line. Sagas. Looks like we had a lot of console logs that could. I think it was mostly console logs and prop types for the errors. And then our index here. Index is good. We can close modules. Good here. File reader, which is not defined. So what we can do is we can go eslint here. And we can add it here. File reader. So now in our add recipe view, that doesn't cause a problem. And looks like we just need to add props. We have two props, history and this guy right there. So what is the name of this class? This is add recipe. So import prop types from prop types. So add recipe dot prop types, and the first one is history, which we did before, so no need to do this again. Just copy it. So history is required. Oh, this one's history is not required because it's like no, it is. It's required because it is being passed in, and then we're basically doing a function like that. Okay, so we can just copy that. And here it's going to be request create, and then since it's not required, we do add recipe default props request create recipe. Cool. So this page is done complaining. Home. Good in that page. Props recipe. So import prop types from prop types. So as you can see, this is why I said if you didn't want to watch, it could get a little redundant because basically we're just going in and add prop types for all of these things now. So request recent recipes, it's basically the same thing, right? So we're just going in and adding the prop types. So this one's a func. And then recipes. This one is an array. Actually, this is going to be the exact same definition as we used for our recipe list. So we can copy you, except it's not required. So where was I? Home. So here, and not required. Home dot default props. Request recent recipes. So I guess we'll just do the same thing. And then recipes, just an empty array. Cool. So that's good. Login page. And we have actually a couple of things here. So URL search parameters. That's a global thing, problem. So copy. Oh. So now that will go away. Maybe if I save it. Nope, reopen. It's not defined. I just added you in eslint. That's funny, that worked for that, but not. Was it params? It was param, right? We don't need you. Login page. Nope, those params. I just copied it badly. Okay, so we need just the prop types again for this page. It looks like it. So import prop types. So login page. And we can put that up here. Support default. Login page dot prop types lowercase. And history we can copy from home. Oh, because we're actually not using history here. We're using history here? Yes, we are. Let's grab that. Oops. Oh, I was had caps lock on. Okay, push. So we need request login and this location. So request login, which is a function, and location, which is an object, and it has a search. And this is a string. Not sure. Unexpected comma? Oh, there we go. Is that causing it? Okay, what is going on? I don't know why. Oh, is it because I... Okay, that was just causing multiple errors. Login page dot prop types. Sorry, not prop types. Default props. Request login and return empty object. Location, maybe an empty object. Okay, this page looks good. We just have 3 more pages. We're good here, and this page has a couple. So request user ID. Okay, so we can export default here. Import prop types from prop types. And then this one, its definition is very similar to all the other ones. So So my recipes is very similar to the home page's recipes. So we can copy that. We just call it my recipes. And the user is like the navbar. So copy you. And then request my recipes, that's just a function we've done before and that's easy to type out. Request my recipes is just prop types.func. Cool. Oh, and doesn't like that. We'll do that. We'll deal with that in a second. I guess we want to eslint disable for the function. So this doesn't have defaults, so we'll do my recipes dot default props. So request my recipes. It's going to be a function that returns an object, and then user empty object my recipes empty array. Cool. And then let's look up in eslint how you do for a function. Oh, doesn't know how to disable for a function. I wonder if I can disable until a point. Here we go, disable, enable. So we can do eslint disable, and then we enable it down here. Because we don't want to worry about that dangling thing. Alright, we are so close to done. Let's copy this. Skip down to single index or single recipe and come back up to sign up because while I have this selected, because this will be very similar. Not super similar, but a little bit. Export default we'll have at the top. Import prop types from prop types. So instead of request recipe, I have request recipe. We don't need the user here. This needs to be single recipe. We need to do matching, and we need current recipe. Cur recipe. And it's not actually an array, it's just a oops. It's just actually an object. Has own property. Do not access object prototype method has only from target object. Okay, we'll have to Google what that one means. So, and then we just need to do that one. So, excuse me. So match is an object. So we're going to use this shape. And then it actually itself has a params, which are the prop types. Shape, and then inside of that we have this recipe ID, which is required, and that's going to be a string, but we don't have to put required inside. Cool. Single recipe. Oh, actually match. We're actually match is actually required. Single recipe dot default props request recipe So the best way honestly to be doing this is to be linting kind of while you're doing the project. So going back and linting a whole project like this is not the best way to do it. I don't recommend doing that. So Remember how I was talking about IDs here? That's exactly what eslint is saying here. I'm afraid if we use duplicate ID, let's do it. Oh, we can prefix it then. So this will be segment. Oh, ingredients don't have IDs though. We're gonna have to prefix it with an I. I was gonna say because we could do both description and ingredient do not have. They're just gonna have to keep re-rendering. So we're actually we're just gonna have to do eslint disable next line. Eslint disable next line. And that did not work because that seems really bad. And it doesn't like it when we'll just do disable then. And then we can re-enable it down here. So ideally you have like a unique ID, but for these we don't, so that's okay. So now let's figure out what this is. Do not access object prototype method. No prototype built-ins. No prototype built-ins. eslint. So if you ever don't know what rule is, if you just Google it, they have nice documentation on what they're doing. So we just need to do object. Okay. So we just need to do this in a different manner. So call recipe.name. Now we no longer have the problem and it works in the same way. Alright. Now let's go to this guy. He has history and export defaults. Here, import prop types. So I should have been adding the prop types as I was going along. That would have been a lot easier, but because going back over like this is not the best. I'll do that next time. So because you notice mostly eslintless stuff was just prop types. So function and history push. So that's basically just this page. Yeah. Copy that. Paste it down here. This is going to be sign up. What is this called? Yep, sign up page. Now this will be request sign up. Same thing here. And no location. Cool. And now we're done with those. This page looks good. This page looks good. This page prefer default because we're not. Okay, this one I agree. I'll change the export default because we're not using for anything else, and then we just need to change that in here. This we export like that. Okay, now we can run npm run lint fix on that stuff. Close all this and see if there's any other things. What the heck? There's 120 problems. Oh, are they all? So I'm gonna just split that to a log so it's easier to look at. Looks like all the problem, our definition for rule was not found. I'm not really sure what that means. So let's Google it. Definition for rule not found eslint. I'm assuming I just need to install something. There is a typo in the rule name and your computer cannot find this unknown rule. Oh. think this image alt thing probably causing it. Now, if I lint, let's do regular old lint. We don't need to do any more fixes. Okay, same thing. This is weird. But there is no problems with the code. So he installed a local version. I think I have, go to package. I think I have eslint local. Yep, dev dependency right here. So any other plugin, React JSX import, React JSX import. Try adding plugins file names. Okay, let's try that. Why not? File names. Now lint. Actually, why would file names be it? So copy that. Install that. This is kind of weird. I've never had this problem with eslint. So it's missing a definition. So I'm just missing probably a package of some sort. And npm is being slow as ever, so while that loads, what I think I'll do is I'll just keep looking and see what people say. Looks like a lot of people are having this problem, but they're having, oh wow, this guy had a lot of roles in his. No one seems to have a good answer. And npm's almost done. Cannot get eslint to work. Import / no require was replaced with import no comment. Just publish a new eslint config and add it to. Okay. I think maybe that import, if I remove import, npm run lint. Okay, that did nothing. I think if I get rid of import, what if I just run with those two plugins? No, did absolutely nothing. Alright, I'm not sure what the problem is exactly, but at least in the editor it can't point to anything. Except for that dumb little thing. That's it for this video, I think. I may publish one more video if I can figure out what's going on here, but it's on the low priority because for the most part the code is all cleaned up, and really linting is boring. No one really wants to watch how to lint. So that's it for this, guys. Thanks for watching, and that's it. Everything's upgraded. See you guys.